The frozen line at Bastogne. The wind didn't just blow that night, it cut. Private Samuel Carter pulled his coat tighter, but it made no difference. The cold found its way in anyway, creeping through seams, biting into skin, settling deep into bone. Snow crunched beneath his boots as he shifted his weight, rifle clutched in numb hands. Somewhere out there, in the dark woods beyond the line, the enemy was moving. He couldn't see them, but he could feel them. And then, a crack. Gunfire split the silence. Samuel dropped low, heart slamming. "They're here," someone shouted down the line. The Battle of the Bulge had come alive. Just weeks earlier, Samuel had been home in Ohio, standing in a small church beside his father. The war felt distant then, like thunder far off on the horizon. His father had placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "Courage isn't loud, son. Sometimes it's just standing your ground when everything in you says run." Samuel hadn't fully understood. Not until now. Bastogne was surrounded. American forces, outnumbered, undersupplied, and freezing, held a thin, desperate line against a relentless German assault. Snow fell without mercy. Food ran low. Ammunition ran lower. And still they held. Samuel huddled in a foxhole with Corporal Jenkins, an older soldier with a weathered face and steady eyes. "You scared?" Jenkins asked quietly. Samuel let out a shaky breath. "Yeah." Jenkins nodded. "Good. Means you know what's at stake." Another burst of gunfire echoed through the trees. The night lit up with flashes, brief, violent glimpses of men moving, falling, fighting. "I don't think I can do this," Samuel admitted. Jenkins turned to him. "You don't have to do all of it," he said. "Just the next right thing." Morning didn't bring warmth, only more visibility for the enemy. Artillery rained down. Trees splintered. Snow turned to mud and ash. Samuel ran messages between positions, ducking low as shells screamed overhead. Each step felt like a gamble, each breath like it might be his last. At one point, he stumbled into a clearing just as a blast knocked him off his feet. For a moment, everything went silent. No gunfire, no shouting, just a ringing in his ears and the slow fall of snow. He lay there, staring up at a gray sky, and fear crept in again, stronger this time. He thought of home, of warmth, of safety, of leaving. But then he remembered something else. A verse his mother used to read from Proverbs. "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." Samuel closed his eyes. "I don't understand this," he whispered. "But I trust you." He got up, not because the fear was gone, but because something greater had taken its place. Days passed. The siege tightened. German forces demanded surrender. The American response came back with a single word: nuts. It spread through the lines like a spark. Not surrender. Not today. Samuel found himself back in the foxhole with Jenkins as another attack loomed. "You still scared?" Jenkins asked. Samuel nodded. "But I'm staying." Jenkins smiled faintly. "That's all courage is, kid." The final assault came at dawn. Snow and smoke blurred the horizon as enemy troops advanced. Samuel raised his rifle, hand steady now. Not fearless, but resolved. Beside him, men stood shoulder to shoulder. Farm boys, factory workers, sons and fathers, all choosing, in that moment, to hold the line, to not give ground, to stand. Then, a distant sound. Different. Engines. Samuel looked up. Planes. American planes. Breaking through the clouds like answered prayer. Supplies dropped. Support arrived. Hope returned. The tide began to turn. Bastogne held. Against all odds. Years later, Samuel would return home, not as the same boy who left, but as a man who had faced fear and chosen faith anyway. He would sit once more in that small church, hearing familiar words with new understanding. Courage isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's trembling hands and whispered prayers in frozen foxholes. Sometimes it's just staying. And in the end, that was enough. Commentary note: this story highlights the biblical principle of trusting God even when circumstances make no sense, as seen in Proverbs 3 verse 5. Samuel's journey reflects that courage is not the absence of fear, but obedience and faith in the middle of it. It also embodies American values of perseverance, unity, and sacrificial resolve under extreme hardship. Historical note: this story is a dramatized account inspired by the real events of the Battle of the Bulge, 1944 to 1945, particularly the Siege of Bastogne, where American forces were surrounded by German troops. The famous response, "Nuts," was given by General Anthony McAuliffe when asked to surrender. While the characters in this story are fictional, the conditions, freezing weather, limited supplies, and intense combat, accurately reflect the experiences of U.S. soldiers during that pivotal World War II battle.